So, let's talk about a really fascinating idea, a digital tool that isn't designed to do things for you, but to think things through with you. It's called the NCAI protocol, and honestly, it's a total game changer for how we think about our relationship with AI. All right, let's just start with a really big question. How would you work? How would your creative process, your strategy, your most sensitive projects, how would all of that change if you had a space where absolutely nothing was ever logged, tracked, or monitored? Just think about that for a second, because that's the world we're about to step into. To really get a feel for how this works, let's follow a DC staffer through a typical day. We'll kick things off with their morning, or they're using a private AI thinking partner, a sort of conceptual guide we'll just call Max. Now, the staffer doesn't ask Max to, write the briefing. No. The whole interaction is more conversational, it's exploratory. They're asking things like, can you help me think through this? Or what are the blind spots here? It's basically a sparring partner for your ideas. This whole private space, it operates on a few really fundamental ground rules. And rule number one is huge. No documents move. Your files, they stay exactly where they are, right on your own machine. They never get pulled into the cloud. And building right on top of that is rule number two. No data leaves. This means the actual content of your thoughts, your questions, all that sensitive material, it all stays completely under your control, inside your private environment. And here's the real kicker. Rule number three, nothing is logged externally. There's no server sitting in the background recording your every thought to train some future model. It's a true black box, and you are the only one who holds the key. And what this all points to is a massive shift in purpose. This kind of tool isn't about automating your work. It's about augmenting your thought process in a way that is totally, completely secure. You see, this is a space for thinking, not execution. So that's the morning. Now let's move into midday, which is all about creation. In this phase, our staffer steps into a conceptual workspace we're going to call the Forge, and this is where those ideas start to become real. The Forge is designed for the really high-stakes, sensitive stuff that's at the core of a professional's job. Things like early drafts, confidential talking points, or complex strategy notes. This is the material you absolutely cannot afford to have leak. The workflow here is incredibly deliberate. You're in the driver's seat the whole time. You might draft something up, synthesize a bunch of research, and then, and this part is key, you intentionally call on specialized AI agents for help. Maybe one that's great at policy analysis or another that helps improve clarity. And this really highlights the core power dynamic. You, the user, always have the authority and control. Everything can be undone. The AI agents, they're just tools. They're constrained to a specific purpose, and they're never autonomous. They do exactly what you tell them to do, and that's it. And this really is the fundamental principle of the Forge. It doesn't matter how sophisticated the tools get, the human, the staffer, is always unequivocally the final authority. So what happens when your work actually needs to leave this secure bubble? Let's look at the afternoon phase, taking action across that digital boundary. This is a really critical and very tightly controlled moment. Okay, so when something has to be shared, the system generates what's called a CID, or a content identifier. The easiest way to think about it is like a unique digital fingerprint for your document or your memo. It's the key to tracking and authenticating your work once it's out in the wild. This whole process gives you complete transparency. Before anything is ever shared, you know exactly what content is leaving, why it's leaving, who it's going to, and even for how long they'll have access to it. It's about total control. And what's the result of all that? Well, there are no surprises, no hidden data sharing costs, no mysterious background activities sending your information to places you never approved of. Every single action is explicit and intentional. Now, that's just a single day, but the true value here, the real ROI, lies in the long-term growth. So let's zoom out and look at what this means for a professional's entire career. Over time, the staffer builds this incredible private repository of their own work and thinking. It's like having institutional memory without any institutional dependency. After a few years, they have a provable record of their contributions, which builds a way stronger professional identity. And that opens up all these new career paths, not because the system pushed them, but because it made their own value clearer to themselves. And the economics of this whole thing are just as user-centric. Thinking is free. Creating is free. The system only captures value at the precise moment the user decides to extract value by sending something out into the world. The cost is tied to the act of secure sharing, and you are never, ever forced into it.
So when you put it all together, what does the user actually feel? Well, the first and most immediate feeling is security. It's that thought of, this reduces my risk. My ideas, my career, my data, they're simply not exposed.
The second feeling is one of pure empowerment. Having a truly secure space to think deeply, to model out scenarios, to challenge assumptions without any fear of judgment or surveillance, wow, this makes me sharper. And all of this builds up to the ultimate benefit, the ability to build and demonstrate your value, creating real professional leverage, but without exposing your process. Or, in the user's own words, this gives me leverage without exposure. And that leaves us with this one final powerful thought. A system like this isn't trying to recruit you into its ecosystem. It's designed to do one thing and one thing only, to equip you, to give you the sovereign tools you need to think better, create safer, and build a career entirely on your own terms.